Uh, Councilwoman Wilson. Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes,
would you like to lead us in invocation tonight?
surely.
Thank
Father
you.
God, we thank you and praise you for this evening. Father God, we thank you for the time that we can come together to do the will of the city, Father God, in the name of Jesus. We just thank you for your love that you've covered us all day long, and we just continue to bless your righteous name. Father, thank you so very much. Father God, we just uh, ask that this meeting be conducted in decency and order. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman Wilson.
You're welcome.
Council Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Councilwoman Eason,
Present.
Councilman Herring,
Here.
Councilwoman Smallwood, Councilwoman Smallwood, Councilman Williams,
Here. Here.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Here,
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Here.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here. And I see Councilwoman Smallwood, Algin Gordon. Councilwoman, Council Clerk, you can call her name again. Let's see if she answers.
Councilwoman Smallwood,
Here.
thank you. 7 in attendance.
Thank you, Council Clerk.
a point of order, Council President.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes, I'd like to add a resolution to the agenda to appoint Sandra Williams to the Glen Norton Election Board.
Councilwoman Wilson, I have vetted all of the persons that I've already had. You're bringing this at right before the meeting started. I've already spoken to all of the 10 people that are have been assigned for the election board. And-
Council, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And 2 persons that are, in case we need somebody else, have already been placed on the agenda. And I've already spoken to all of these persons. I have not had an opportunity to speak to the person that you may want to bring.
Well, I called this, I submitted it this afternoon, and I was told that you said that you were not accepting any more nominees. However, you brought two new people on today. You're bringing 2 new people today. And so I really would like to submit this resolution. I can give you her number after the meeting.
Like I said, we've already selected the 10 persons, and only the other
Who has
persons.
selected them? Who has selected them?
The job was given to the council president to get the election board together since the mayor had not done it. I asked everybody when it was placed in my lap to please, when I called the names of the council persons, Councilwoman Ferguson and Williams had already told me they would do it. And when I started calling your name and Mr. Herring and Councilwoman Smallwood, you said that I was picking on all of you all. But the clarion call was given to all of the council persons to bring forth these persons.
Excuse me, Council President. I did not say that you were picking on us. So I want to submit this piece of legislation and put it on the agenda. And this person is bringing experience from working with the county elections, her working with them, and she's another person from Ward 1. So we want to give the appearance of the election board is going to be fair. But right now, it seems like the election board is kind of stacked with so many members from so many people from Ward 3. So I am bringing this person who has agreed to work with the election board, and she's from Ward 1. So I think that it would be good to have because of Glen Norton's rich heritage of being of doing things well, then I think that we should also have, I'm sure that included a rich heritage of fair elections and the appearance of fairness. So again, I want to submit this piece of legislation for the agenda.
The charter indicates that we have to select 2 people from Ward 1, 2 people from Ward 2, and then the rest of the persons could be from out of the city of Glenarden.
This person is from the city of Glenarden.
Council
I'm not-
President,
I'm sorry.
This
Council-
person is, this
Excuse me,
person is,
Councilwoman Williams, please let me finish my thought. I
Mr.
understand-
Williams, you talking?
No, I said Councilwoman Wilson.
Oh, I thought you said
No.
Wilson.
No,
I mean, Williams. I
No,
thought
I
you
did
said Williams.
not. Please let me finish my thought. I understand that the person is from Ward 1. And I'm not saying
Okay.
that she is, that they aren't, and that I wouldn't, but I would not, that I did not want them to be a part of the election board. But like I said, 10 people came forward. Because the majority of the people that you see on this list are from Glenarden, which is Woodmore, they stepped up to the plate and they were ready and willing. And I did follow the charter and got the 2 persons from each ward. So
Well-
I don't
well,
understand.
Oh, can I
Councilwoman,
can I
may
also say
please
something?
finish? May I please finish?
Okay, right after you finish saying what you have to say, I have something else to say as well.
All right, Councilwoman Wilson, go ahead.
Okay, my other thing is that you have a person on there is from the Miss Kashina Cross is with the ethics board. And I think that would be a conflict of interest because of the fact that if there's a complaint to the election board, then she's going to be on, concerning the election board, she's going to be on both. She's going to hear it, and so I would like for her, for the person who I am recommending to take her place, and then you'll still have 10 people. Again, she's bringing experience.
Councilwoman Wilson, I believe that all of the people that I've spoke to are bringing experience. Also, have already spoken with the attorney, and he sees no issue with Mrs. Cross being on the election committee. Whatever complaints come to the election committee will solve. In getting information about how the election committee is supposed to operate. The election committee will be just like the ethics board. Everything that comes to the ethics board is ethics board information. The things that come to the election committee will resolve. They don't come to the mayor, the city manager, or any of the council. The election board is going to be an entity that takes care of what needs to be done and concerns the election board. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Easton, did you have something you wanted to say?
yes, I did. I was going to say, can we move on with the meeting?
Sure. Did we want to take a vote to?
Yeah, I say go ahead, add the person to the list because you don't want to deny any citizen from being on the board. And then when we vote for 10 people. So you don't want to deny anybody from being on the board.
Okay, so like I said, the last 2 people that I have on here, I've already explained to them that we already have 10 people. Councilwoman Wilson, I will add your person's name, but we already have the 10 persons. And if somebody if anything happens or comes up where a person cannot continue to fulfill their duties, then the next person that I have on the list will move up to that position. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Wilson. What was that person's name again?
Sandra Williams.
Sandra Williams. Thank you.
Yes.
Point of order, Madam President. I have a comment before we move forward a vote.
Councilman Herring.
Yes, there is nothing in this charter. I don't remember ever putting it in your lap for us to get members for this election board. No one said the council president was supposed to do anything. And the charter says the council members shall appoint members to the election board. So that's the first problem I have. Second problem I have is that there's nothing in this charter that says we have alternate election board members. You cannot vote for an alternate member. If a member falls off, the charter expressly says how that person is supposed to be replaced. So at this point now, you should only have the ones that you're going to put on there as members, not as alternates. There's nothing in there for alternates, and I like to have them taken off the agenda because that's not even allowable in the charter.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. Councilwoman Eason.
No, I disagree with that statement because because we have a short window for the election and because we have a process where we have to have a public hearing. If you, so, you know, 10 members can be brought to the table, and if someone can't fulfill their obligation, we already would have had a public hearing for folks that wanted to volunteer to be on the committee, and you wouldn't have to have another public hearing. And the council actually approves someone who can't, if there's less than 10 members. So we would have already gone through the public hearing process. And that would eliminate at least 6 days where the person, if they are coming on board as an alternate, they can get acclimated to what has already occurred in this short window. Thank you.
All right, Council Clerk, I'm sorry.
Council President.
We didn't take a motion on the agenda.
We're getting ready to.
Council President. Council
Councilwoman-
President.
Councilwoman Smallwood, we'll have discussion after we take a motion to adopt the agenda. You have an opportunity to speak after the
Point of
motion.
order,
is-
Madam President. You've already allowed other council members to speak. So each council member has the right to speak on this issue before we move on. You can't
All
just
right.
cut off debate because you're ready to move forward.
Thank you, Anthony. Council President.
Councilwoman Smallwood.
Thank you, Council President. My statement is that you have these people down as alternates.
I do not.
You, Council President.
They're
you
not
sent out-
alternates.
You sent out a revised agenda with 2 people named, and the resolution said they are alternates.
The council clerk was supposed to resend the resolution and to show that they were not alternates after I received an email, after the email was received by all of the council from Councilman Herring saying that there's no alternates, which is in the charter. When I sent those 2 this morning, I explained to the council clerk, I know because I read the charter that there are no alternates, but I want to send this out to see what the response would be. The response was from Councilman Herring that there are no alternates in the charter. I recognize that. So I withdrew, had council clerk withdraw those 2 as alternate and send them just as their names.
Okay, but, okay, even though you set them as just as their name, have you explained to them now that they're no longer alternates, that they are going to be permanent, that they couldn't run for office?
They're not running for office.
How
We're-
do you know they're not going to run for office? How
Because
do you know anybody on this list is not going to run for office?
I've
Did you
already
explain that to them?
asked them those things, Councilwoman Smallwood. They're not running for office. They understand that they are not alternates, that if somebody happens to not be able to fulfill their duty as a appointee, a nominee, then I will be able to ask them. And like Councilwoman Eason said, we won't have to go through the public hearing, waiting 6 more days to have them appointed to the board.
Okay, but, and here again, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to concur with Councilwoman Wilson and Councilman Herring. You have 6 people that are coming out of Ward 3. There is no balance here. So we need to get a balance.
The charter says that you have to have 2 people from Ward 1,
I know what the charter- I know
2
what the
people from
charter
Ward
says.
2, and
I know what the charter
and 10
says.
people as a complement.
But you got other people in the wards, because I have a lady, she's just getting back in town. And she's interested in being on the election board. When I called her, she was out of town. Now she's back and she's interested. So what do I tell her? No, she can't be on the election board?
Councilwoman Smallwood, like I said, once it was determined that the mayor had not fulfilled the obligation to get the
And
election board together, then it was given, the council president was told that we have to get an election board. And I ask all council members, please send the persons that you would want to nominate to the election board. Now we've got people that have volunteered and asked to be on the election board. And all of a sudden today, these other folks, when do you cut it? When do you stop? When do you cut it off?
You don't have a cutting off period. You just have to accept everybody's application, then you either vote yes or no.
There was no application given,
Well, you
Councilwoman
had-
Smallwood. The
well,
only thing that was needed was whether you were interested.
I had a lady who was out of town because of the illness in her family, and she's back. And she's still interested in trying to be on the election board. Was no fault of hers that she couldn't do it, but she just had to wait till her family situation became available to her.
How come you didn't submit her name last week, Councilwoman Smallwood, or yesterday, or Friday, when all of this stuff came out on Friday?
Well, I just got the phone call from her today.
All right, we'll move on with the meeting. Is there a motion to it?
I will tell her that it's not allowing her to participate.
I wouldn't tell that lie, Councilwoman Smallwood. I would.
That's not a lie. That's not a lie.
I've already put together a group of people that came forward and volunteered.
You said you already put a group together and she cannot be included in the group. That's what you're saying to me.
No, it's not.
What are you saying?
Not the way you're trying to imply it.
What are you saying? What are you saying? She can't be a part of it?
Councilwoman Smallwood, what is the citizen's name?
Her last name is McGill.
And her first name?
I can't think of her first name. I don't know her that well. But she lives in Glen Arden. She's in Ward 1.
Do you have a phone number?
I have it. I have to sign off to pull it up on my phone.
Would you email it to me, please? Her last name is McGill and you don't have a first name.
Council President.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Ferguson.
Her name is Karen McGill.
No, that's not her first name.
Does she live on Glen Parkway?
No, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Apology accepted.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Yes, I make the motion to accept the agenda.
Thank you, Councilwoman Eason. Is
Second,
there a second?
second. Second,
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Okay. Any other discussion? I shouldn't say that, but I guess I have to. Hearing
Point of
none.
order.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Council Clerk, would you take the vote, please?
Councilwoman Eason,
Yes,
Councilman Herring,
No,
Councilwoman Smallwood,
I pass her right now.
Councilman Williams,
yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Is this to accept the agenda with the corrections? With the additions?
yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
I vote to accept the agenda with the corrections, with the additions.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Yes,
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilwoman Smallwood.
Yes.
So we have 6 yes, 1 no.
Thank you, Council Clerk Taylor. All right. Now we'll move on in the meeting to citizens' comments on the proposed legislation. 5 minutes. They'll start with the legislation for February that's coming up. The first piece of legislation is going to be the personnel manual. Council Clerk, for the purpose of clarifying the role of any deputy clerk to the council. Does any citizens have any comment on that legislation? Hearing none, we'll move to the next piece of legislation. which is a charter resolution to amend Article 4, the mayor, Section 404, powers and duties generally. Any citizens have any questions concerning that piece of legislation?
Madam President,
Former Mayor Carter, yes.
Madam President, could you have the clerk read that piece of legislation?
Oh, point of order, Madam President.
I just asked the
Point of order, Madam
question.
President.
I just asked the question. I don't want to cause no argument. It's just, I don't have access to it, and I'd like to know what the legislation is addressing.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but as a citizen, I would just like to have it read.
Thank you, former Mayor Carter. What we could do is have the maker of this resolution kind of explain who
That's
is
fine.
Councilman Williams.
Hello?
Councilman Williams. A
What?
citizen is asking, wanted to you to kind of give them an overview of what this piece of legislation is concerning. The charter resolution to amend the mayor, Section 404, powers and duties generally.
I don't have the legislation in front of me. Can you read it and I can explain it? 'Cause it wasn't in the package.
It looks like, Could somebody kill the television, please? Thank you. Okay. It looks like it's removing where the mayor can incur expenses not over $2,000 on behalf of the city without prior approval from the council, so long as the expenditures are reported to the treasurer in the order that the treasurer can remain in compliance with Section 802 of this charter. So that's what it looks like this charter resolution is doing. So does this include contracts? Councilman Williams?
I'm not aware of that piece of legislation. That must be changed or something. So just table the resolution, table it.
Until the work session?
Yeah, just table it, yeah.
Okay. Council, former Mayor William Carter, I will get back with you concerning this. Okay,
Ms. Jones?
Mr. Aurora.
I just have a quick comment, not so much about that legislation, but this is in reference to what Ms. Carter just asked about. Ms. Carter, I just want you to know and everyone else to know that I just posted a link in the chat that I pulled from the City of Glen Arden's website that has tonight's agenda and the resolutions attached.
Thank you, Mr. Aurora. All right. The next piece of legislation is a resolution to authorize the purchase to outfit the police vehicles.
Council President, I think we skipped over one piece of legislation. Because the purchase of Tough Books was after the charter resolution.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at my agenda. I'm looking at the resolutions itself. I'm sorry to the city citizens. Council Clerk is correct. There's a resolution authorized to purchase Tough Books for the police department. This is new computers for the police department, support equipment. Any questions? Former Mayor Carter. You're still muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that for each of the police officers?
No, they're only purchasing 4. There was a letter sent out in early February 2020 that the chief was requesting from the former city manager new tough books. He needed 5, but it looks like in this, well, he's got 4 on this one resolution, but then they're going to put 2 more in the 2 new cars that they're getting also. So that will be a total of 6.
And they will go in the cars?
Well, 2 will go in the car. The other 2, well, all of them will go in the cars, but we don't know what cars that are already, that had to be
outfitted with them.
Re-outfitted with new computers, because I think they had issues with the ones that they have now.
Okay. Okay,
Any other?
thank you.
Okay.
Madam President,
Councilman Williams.
I like to, after reading that, then I do remember this. And I put this up for that legislation and going back up for public hearing. Put it back on the agenda.
Okay, I'll bring it back at the last one. All right, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tough books. All right. Any other questions about the tough books? Hearing none, we'll move to a resolution to authorize the purchase to outfit the police vehicles. They're getting new police vehicles and they have to be outfitted with other equipment. So this is what this resolution is concerning. Any questions? Make sure the other side don't have, no. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the next piece of legislation. A resolution to authorize purchase of 2 police vehicles. We're going to add 2 police vehicles to our fleet. And these 2 vehicles will be the ones that are going to be outfitted and already have these, we'll have it outfitted with the tough books also.
Madam President, these vehicles are in the budget, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
These are budgeted items.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. A resolution to authorize the purchase of 2 in-car radios for the police vehicles and 1 portable radio. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the next resolution. A resolution to appoint Lolita Green to the Glenarden Election Board. Ms. Green is from Ward 1.
Council President,
Councilwoman Smallwood.
as the sponsor, I would like for my name to put there because I did recommend her.
Thank you, Councilwoman Smallwood. We'll do that in the work session. Right now, this is the time for the citizens to speak, the public hearing for citizens to speak.
That's not what I said. I said where sponsor is, I would like my name to be placed there because
I understand what you're saying, Councilwoman Smallwood, but what I'm saying is that's something that we normally do during the work session when we assign a resolution number and we put the sponsors on. So right now, like I said, this is a time for citizens to talk about the resolutions. It's a public hearing for citizens to voice their opinion concerning the resolutions.
Well, this wasn't giving an opinion. It was just asking you to put my name down as the sponsor, but we can move on.
Thank you. The next resolution is a resolution to appoint Patricia Dennis to the election board. Also a citizen of Ward 1. Any questions? the resolution to appoint Susan Rhodes to the Glen Arden Election Board, resident of Ward 2. The next resolution is a resolution to appoint Jacqueline Nichols to the Glen Arden Election Board.
What
No
ward is
question.
Ms. Nichols?
Ms. Nichols is from Ward 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next is a resolution to appoint Richard Aurora Montgomery, Ward 3, to the Election Board. The next resolution is to appoint Ricky Aurora Montgomery, Ward 3, to the Election Board. The next is a resolution to appoint C.E. Beckles to the Election Board, Ward 3. Next is a resolution to appoint Turner Coggins to the Election Board, Ward 3. The next resolution is to appoint Kashina Cross to the Election Board, Ward 3. The next is to appoint Alana Fertrell to the Election Board, Ward 3.
What is the last name?
Futrell, Futrell.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and the next three are persons that we wanted to present to the public hearing in case of someone not being able to fulfill their obligation to the Election Board. Shannon Robinson, Yvonne White, and Sandra Williams, and Miss McGill, someone named Miss McGill. Citizens
I'm
have any
sorry.
questions?
You said Robinson, White, McGill, and you said one other name. What was the other name?
Sandra Williams.
Williams. Okay, thank you. Thank you. What ward are they from? The last four that you named, could you tell us what ward they're from?
Miss Williams is, I think, from Ward 1. Is that correct, Councilwoman Wilson?
That's correct.
Thank you. Miss McGill is from Ward 1. Is that correct, Councilwoman Smallwood?
Yes.
Yvonne White is from Ward 2. And Shannon Robinson is from Ward 3.
Okay.
Councilwoman, Council President. Council President.
Councilwoman Wilson, just a second. Let's make sure the citizens no one has any other concerns or questions.
Council President Jones, I have a comment, please.
Mr. Aurora Montgomery.
I just wanted to say firstly, the pettiness of the selection of volunteers for the election committee is ridiculous, I have to say. And I think it's unfair for any council member to request that existing volunteers be removed in order for another citizen to be put in their place. If the selection for the 10 members has been made, then so be it. Unfortunately, people replied late. They were out of town and weren't able to volunteer. And unfortunately, that's just how the ball drops. Now, I don't think there's any unfairness in that. I mean, if the majority of the people stepped up from Ward 3, then that's what it is. It is what it is. And I think council members need to learn how to accept the results of volunteerism, if that's even a word. And if it's not a word, I just made up a word. But I mean, these are citizens that have volunteered. And as such, they need to be respected in that manner. We volunteer of our time. If someone else came up after the fact, okay, fine. I mean, I think a decision was made tonight to just put them in I guess in a spare bucket or something in case something happens with somebody else. I think that's fair. And for council members to turn around and then say, oh, well, I'm just going to tell this one this, and I'm going to tell this one that. Oh, the president didn't want to do this. Again, that's just pettiness, you know, and the council members need to learn just how to get along, you know, just get along, leave all that pettiness to the side, you know, and just move on with the business of the city. Whether we have 10 members from Ward 3, whether we have 10 members from Ward 1, whether we have 8 from Ward 2, 1 from Ward 1, and 1, who cares? The fact of the matter is that you have 10 residents of the city of Glenarden that have stepped up to volunteer to serve on an election committee. What is the fear? It sounds to me like there's some kind of fearfulness or something of who's on the election board. I mean, it can't be turned either way. The votes are the votes. If members in Ward 1 win, so be it. If members in Ward 2 win, so be it. I mean, you know, you guys are making it seem like, you know, that this is a Trump versus Biden election. And I'm hearing the same language that I'm hearing from there is what I'm hearing here in our own little city of Glenarden. You know, and we just need to move on, and let's just do what needs to be done for the betterment of the city of Glenarden. I mean, we wasted 20 minutes. Well, not we, you guys wasted, you council members wasted the first 20 minutes of this call on names of citizens when you were already told we had 10 on the table. I mean, you've known for weeks that you had to come up with names. You should have submitted these names prior to, you knew this meeting was tonight, but yet you decide until this very moment, until this 7th hour, this 19th hour of January 19, to come up with names. I mean, and that's just unacceptable, because this is the result of that. We have a meeting that starts off with chaos following a wonderful invocation. You know, I mean, come on, you know, you invite God into this and then everything just turns. Get it together, work together. There are 7 of you, work together. That's all I need to say. And I'm glad that my name came up as a member for the election board. And if I am selected, I promise that I will do the best that I can to make sure that there is a fair election in the city of Glenarden. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President.
Mrs. Carter.
Madam President, how will what will be the process now in terms of the 10 people who are first on this list? When will they start the process for the upcoming election? preparing the time frames for for people who might have a desire to run for office. How will that proceed? What will proceed? How will they proceed
Okay,
with the election process?
Okay, the charter does spell out candidates and when they and how they can, what they can do. But as far as the election committee, it was told to me early on that we are behind. It should have been put in place a year ago. But as soon as we, tonight is a public hearing. It's been presented to the public 6 days after, which we have a meeting on January the 27th to vote on these 10 members. And after that, they will proceed with getting information from, they'll come from what I understand is, because what I understand is this, that once the election committee comes into fruition, that me as a council person, the mayor, the city manager, any of us, we have to step back and allow them to do what it is that they need to do, that we cannot become involved. And if any of us are running for office, then we can't be involved in any of the process of the election committee. That they'll come together, they'll determine who their chairman is going to be. They can get information from the Prince George's County Election Board, the prior chairman of the election board for the city of Glenarden. She's agreed to give them some marching orders or help them get started. And that's how the election board will come, then, it'll come together. The city manager will at some point give them, let them know that whatever they need as far as when they come together as a collective body to put together the guidelines as to we will not do this, the election board will not do that, or the election board will do this, then he will gladly give them, let them either use the Zoom platform to have meetings. He will let them put stuff on the website so that citizens will know what's going on. Once they come together as a body, then they'll get their marching orders. And I'm sure they can do that right after they've been.
So they won't be official until the 27th?
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other citizens? Okay, Councilwoman Wilson had a question or a comment.
Yes, you made a statement of those 4 people would be put in a bucket of if others could not serve. That it was not my understanding of what we voted on to add them to the agenda. It was not to add them to the agenda so they could be put in a bucket of those who were unable to serve, but they would to be put in there to be considered for the election board. Not that the first here and then last. That's not my understanding of what was going on.
Councilwoman Wilson, the first 10 people that stepped up to the plate and offered to volunteer are the first 10 people that have resolutions associated with their names. Anybody else that came along would be, since there's no alternates, in case something happens, we would be able to call on them to fulfill the rest of someone's term.
Again, Council President, that was not my understanding of us adding them onto the agenda. And I do believe that all of those people need to be considered. Now, again, so that it would appear fair to allow citizens from every ward, instead of having so many from one ward, then I think it would be good for the council to take into consideration that this is somebody from another ward, and let's just since they volunteered as well. So if they volunteered, they wanted to serve on the committee, on the board.
Well, Councilwoman Wilson, in the charter, I'm sorry.
I said, and they should be considered on the same basis as all the rest. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Councilwoman Wilson, the charter clearly states, which I followed, 2 people, you had to have a complete board. It required that you have 2 people from each ward. Now the overflow, it doesn't say anything about the overflow of people. And if you look at Ward 3, you will see it from Bright Seat Road to Gary Lane. That's one section of a whole conglomerate of people. And then from Tyrol to Cousins and the street past Cousins is all a whole conglomerate of people. And then you have the whole section, the new part of Glen Arden, Woodmore is another section. So we have a lot of people on that side. So I don't see the disconnect that you're trying to portray is happening here. The charter has been fulfilled, the mandates of the charter, 2 people from each ward. It didn't say anything about the overflow. And these are the 10 people who that stepped up to the plate. They have been vetted, and I've had an opportunity to speak with these other 4 people. I have not had an opportunity to speak with, you know, of their intentions to the election board, and to bring them, like I'm saying, even at the 19th hour. You know, I gave the call out when this thing fell in my lap.
And that was no deadline given. That was no deadline given, Council President.
All right.
None whatsoever.
All right.
None.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wilson. Any other citizens comment at this public hearing? Mr. Beck?
Yes, good evening, Council President Jones. Just a quick comment. The election board solicitation went out in October 2020 is when that originally went out. I got an email, and I think that an email went out to citizens regarding this. So I think, to be fair, when citizens respond on time, I think that needs to be recognized, and not making it rules or as we go along. But the solicitation went out, I think, back in October of 2020 regarding the election board and a call for members. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, and I did wait until Friday, the last at 2:30, before we sent out any of these resolutions, to make sure that, you know, everything would be covered, you know, that there was no others. And now here on, I think Monday, and today, I'm getting all of these, you know, folks that they're saying that they have folks that want to step up to the plate. But the resolutions were sent out Friday evening at 2:30. There was plenty of time given. Like you said, if it was October 2020, the clarion call was made, we need volunteers, then I think that I fulfilled the obligation of the city. Councilman Williams, you had a comment, and then after your comment, we're gonna conclude this meeting.
Yes, I asked to put the charter amendment back on the agenda, and you said you're gonna do it.
I'm sorry, I was supposed to do that last.
Point of order, Madam President.
Councilman Herring.
The legislation was taken off the agenda, so for it to go back on the agenda, there has to be a vote to put it back on the agenda.
There was no vote to take it off.
The maker took it off himself, so if he took it off, then it's off the agenda.
He didn't take it
So
off, he just tabled it.
No, he took it off. He said, take it off the agenda. I want to table it, take it off the agenda.
I said table. I said table. Madam, go ahead, Madam President.
Whether it was tabled
Go
or
ahead,
not,
Madam.
it was
Don't keep
taken
worrying about
off.
what you said.
Councilman Williams,
I have the floor. Mr. Williams, I have the floor, Madam President.
Point of order, Councilman Herring.
Point of order, Madam President. I have the floor. Again, you took it off the agenda.
Okay.
Now you just put it back. Now you say, and even you said you're going to put it back on the agenda.
At
You
the
have to
end of
vote
the-
to put it back on the agenda.
Okay, then we want to take a vote? Council Clerk, would you vote, take a vote to have this put back on the table?
Put back on the agenda.
I'm sorry, put it back on the agenda?
Point of order. Ms. Jones,
Councilwoman Ferguson?
before we do that, this is a public meeting and I did see Mr. Curtis had his hand up.
I'm sorry, Mr. Who?
Curtis.
I'm sorry, I don't even see him on I didn't look on the second page. Thank you, Councilwoman Ferguson. Mr. Curtis, there you are.
You know what? There's no need for me to say anything. I was just going to say if we could, there was a deadline. Can we move on? But since we were going to end the meeting after that, I'm fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so Council Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. Are we doing a consensus or are we doing a vote?
We're doing a consensus to have this resolution put back on the agenda.
You're doing a vote to put it back on the agenda. You're not doing a consensus because you took it off the agenda.
Okay, Councilman Harry.
I'm gonna say this, I don't have anything to vote. It's kind of funny when said person was a council president, if he made a decision, the council president can make a decision and it ruled. And if you made a decision, now you're questioning the decisions and you the council president. So
if he made
the
the
issue
decision before
came down is.
Point of order, Councilman Harry. Mr. Williams has the floor.
So that's why I keep saying, Madam President, we need a parliamentarian, because Mr. Herring keeps always saying things and not all the time, but half the time it's not true. You can go right there and show it to him. And he tries to bully you by authoritative, and it's not necessarily right.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Williams. Council Clerk.
We're doing a consensus again or a vote?
We're doing the vote.
I need a motion.
Is there a motion on the floor?
To put the charter amendment back on the agenda.
Yes. Councilman Williams, are you making the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. Council Clerk.
Councilwoman Eason,
Pass.
Councilman Herring,
No.
Councilwoman Smallwood, pardon me.
No.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
I'll pass.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson.
No.
We have 4 yeses and 3 nos.
All right. So the charter resolution is back on the agenda.
Madam President, point of order, Madam President, you need 5 votes to amend the agenda. You looked that up in Robert's rules. You need 5 votes to amend the agenda. We went through this before.
Not part of the agenda.
You're adding to the
It was
agenda.
not part
You're
of the
adding,
agenda. It was on the agenda. It's not amending the
you
agenda.
took it off the
Madam
agenda as a maker.
President, can
You took it off the
continue,
agenda
please?
as a maker.
It was part of
You
the
didn't even remember
agenda.
what it
It's not
was.
amending the agenda. It was a part of the
You
agenda.
didn't even remember what it was.
Point of order, Councilman Herring.
You need 5 votes to amend the agenda.
We're not amending the agenda. It was on the agenda.
You're adding it to, you need 5 votes to add to the agenda. And you took it off the
It
agenda.
was
You took
on
it
the
off. You didn't even
agenda.
know what it was.
Madam President, can you continue with the business? Thank you.
No, you cannot continue with the business. You need to find out for sure. I'm telling you now, you know you need 5 votes to add to this agenda. That's the problem now.
Carry
Listen to
on,
him is
Madam
what's going
President.
to because you know he's going to do things wrong.
Councilman Williams, please, can you please explain your resolution so we can move on?
Point of order, Madam President. You need 5
It's not a
votes to
point of
add
order.
to
He's just trying to argue and explain. Man, I have the floor. She gave me the floor. Thank you. Madam,
We'll see if it'll be on the agenda. You'll be talking to yourself.
Mayor Carter, the legislation was put forth because the current charter reads that if the mayor spends any money at all, the mayor has to get approval of the council. That's how it reads. And it was put in, I think it was put in from the previous mayor to restrict his spending abilities for whatever reason. I wasn't on the council, but it doesn't make sense because the council can spend money up to a certain amount of money without anybody asking it. And for the mayor to spend a dime without the council approval, whether it's buying a pen, buying a notebook or whatever for the administrative office, it doesn't make sense that you got to go to the council to get approval for buying mundane things. So I put a happy medium to bring it back to where it used to be. That's all. That's the explain of this legislation.
What is the amount?
$2,000.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, if there's no other citizens that have any other questions or comments concerning the legislation. I'm sorry, Mr. Aurora. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it goes back to the election board, you know. Now, I just don't understand. This been going on for months and months and months. Every council member knew that this election thing was coming up in May. I'm sitting here watching councilmen going back and forth with one another, and I'm trying to understand, what are we paying y'all for? Do y'all read emails? Do you communicate? I don't understand. I just don't understand that. I am so proud to see one of the ethics committee members observing this behavior. That's all I have to say.
All right, sir. Thank you. Ms. Delmar. Mrs. Delmar.
Yes, I'm going to, good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to keep it short. In regards to what Councilman Williams was suggesting in regards to the mayor, excuse me, in regards to the what he was trying to push forth as far as the resolution, I am looking objectively at the position of the mayor or the role of the mayor, not who's occupying the position. So I'm not looking at allowing Ed Estes, I'm looking at allowing the mayor. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I don't know if it matters at all, but I do think that what is being proposed makes sense in regards to moving the city forward. Just my opinion on that. In regards to, somebody just mentioned that there's an ethics committee member on here. I have to say that for those of you who did not attend the ethics committee meeting the other day, please do so, because it was such a breath of fresh air to see a good representation. Not saying that you all are not a good representation, but how you're displaying it right now is not healthy. And it was a healthy representation. It was a healthy presentation of what we can all be. So whoever, so I too want to point out that there is a ethics committee person on this call, and I thank them for their professionalism. Lastly, I want to say this about the election board. I have no dog in this fight because I'm not on the election board. I'm not nominated for the election board at all. But I will say this, that there's a difference when you hear certain things like there were no deadlines, but it's still a priority. If it's a priority for someone, if you're taking it, if you see that it's important for you, then go ahead and send some names. It shouldn't be, you know, I'm holding on to these names for X number of months when other people saw it as a priority and gave names up. So let's just be fair. Like, let's not look at all this pettiness. If there are 2 people per each ward and there are additional people after that, there are already 2 people from each ward. From my understanding, and I could be wrong, and I want to apologize in advance for my naiveness or my ignorance. And that's to everybody on this call, all 30 4 people besides myself. My understanding is the election board is the election board. They're not, going to go and do anything that's going to, be so catastrophic. Like, let's stop. Like, it's just so ridiculous. And so, and I want to be very clear that we already saw the price of ugliness. We all saw the price of ugliness. We're seeing the price of ugliness. For those of us who have been living here for a long time, or even for at least 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, we remember whether we voted for a candidate or not. Inauguration season is a celebratory season. And right now, sorry? Oh, it's a celebratory season. And right now, we can't even celebrate. We're all in Panama. We're banned from DC technically because for safety. Glenarden is the size of a nickel. Come on. And the majority of us are people of color. Majority of us are Black. Like, get it together, people. Come on. Pick a fight, but make it be a good fight, not a ridiculous one. We're better than that. We're all better than that. And so I just wanted to say that. And thank you for giving me the time and the floor.
All right.
Council President?
Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes, I'd like to speak as a citizen. I'd like for everyone to realize that all council members are citizens of Glenarden, and we all have different opinions of things. And just as one person is able to express their opinion, everyone should be able to express their opinion, whether you are elected or not. You're still a citizen. So, and I like to say that there was nothing unethical about the conversations that we had tonight. Nothing. It's just that everybody does not agree on what one person might say. So we're all different people and we all have different opinions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wilson. Ms. Farid.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Everyone's doing well. I just wanted to get some clarification around the process. I think the former mayor was asking the question, and I don't know if it was fully answered. After the election board is in place, well, I guess first I would want to know, are any of these people who are going to be voted on for the election board, do they have experience with running Glenarden city elections? And if not, how will they get that? And then secondly, with it already being mid-January, when would they really effectively begin to start? Considering that the election is in May, would that allow candidates a sufficient amount of time to be able to campaign, especially because we're in a pandemic, so traditional campaigning methods would be available in the same way? And also, if there's, I don't know if this is a question after the election board gets into place, but what is the plan for like absentee voting given COVID? There's going to be a lot of people who probably will not want to vote in person. I know there's a lot of questions, but.
Yeah, the last question would be something that the election board, once they come together, they make those types of decisions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when would, if you vote on, when would the election board be in place, provided that all of the people that are being nominated are going to be in there? Like, when would they actually be able to start? In March?
No, they'll start in January because they have to have a lot of administrative things that they have to do, such as elect a chairman, determine the rules of the election committee. And of course, I would want, but it's not up to me. I would want to get like I said, the prior chairman of the election board. She's gonna give them marching order, not the marching orders, but give them the what they need to know as far as running. And then there are a couple of people that are on this, the out of the 10 that were election judges for Prince George's County.
Okay.
But the election, as far as in the state of Maryland, Glenarden is a municipality. They set their own rules, even though we do answer somewhat to Prince George's County elections. Each municipality sets their own rules on how they do their elections, and that's what the election board is called to do. From what I'm understanding from talking to the election chairman for Prince George's County, that they set their own rules. You know, and in some way she will be involved, but like she told me, once we get them the resolution done and get them voted, me as a council person, or even if I'm running, then I can't have any dealings with the election committee. I shouldn't, you know. So the city manager will, if they, whatever they need, then they'll, from what I understand, they'll go to him.
Okay, so is there a target date for like when candidates would be able to start applying, or is it as soon as the election board is in place, or that something you don't know?
If you pull the charter, section 700 from 701 to 716 tells you everything that you need to know about the election board, about being a candidate, and those different things. So the charter does tell you, gives specific instructions on when you start campaigning and what needs to be done. So and I would pull the charter and read that in that section 700. Like I said, from 701 to 716, it'll give you all the instructions as to how the city has set up elections, or what you're supposed to do.
So I have reviewed those sections and it's not entirely clear to me, but I'll reach out separately to ask my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if there are no other statements from the citizens.
I have one, Liz Lonnie Scales, I got one question.
Mr. Scales?
Yes, is there any plans in the future to, you know, get a sergeant at arms and a parliamentarian?
Yes, there are.
Okay. And what's the time, I guess the timeline to put those two positions in place?
To be very honest with the citizens, as council president, I have two infernos that I'm trying to put out right now. Number one is the election board. Number two is the audit. As soon as we get those things, because both of those things are behind, my next project as council president is to bring somebody on board as the parliamentarian.
And what about sergeant at arms?
No, we've never talked about a sergeant of arms. A parliamentarian is what we'll need. The
sergeant at arms will be able to keep order during the meetings, for people over talking each other and just being able to keep order during the meetings.
Well, that's what the council president's job is. If you read the council rules, that is part of their job. And not only is that part of their job, but also council members have to be mindful of their actions also. I mean, I at this juncture, I mean, sergeant at arms, we should be old enough now not to have learned to, well, let's go back. Like they say, everything I needed to know, I learned in kindergarten. But some of us are still, I guess.
I mean, that I definitely understand, and I know the role where you keep order of it, but the sergeant at arms definitely assists you to make sure that there's order.
Well, the council rules tells me that I can get the police department, but on virtual meetings, all of this is new. And as far as getting, it's something that we have to navigate also.
Madam President, do we have a city manager yet?
Yes, we do. Our city manager, in fact, he's on here now. Mr.
Is
George,
he on board?
Yes, Mr. George, would you come forward?
He hasn't come, he's not visual, is he?
Not tonight. He normally is. There he is right there. That is Tim George, our city manager. That's former Mayor Carter. She used to be the mayor of the city of Glen Arden.
Tim George?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Mr. George.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yes, we do have a city manager on board. Right now, I can say nothing but good things about how he's come in and how he's, you know, how he engages the staff, and they get things done. They are getting things done. So
great.
Yeah. All right.
I had one.
Ms. Jones, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I had one additional comment.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. Like Mrs. Wilson, I want to hear everybody's opinion. I think different opinions and perspectives are good. That we can mean so we can get all ideas in the bucket and pick the best one. I think what's so exhausting is the intentional pettiness of how those opinions and those thoughts are conveyed in these meetings. The gotcha moments of, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't set up this type of meeting, or oh, you took it off the table, now you want to put it on the table, so you got to do. I think me as a citizen, I'm exhausted. If someone took it off the table and it's for the good of the people, well, let's put it on the table, because we're one team, and I think every opinion, every point of view should be conveyed with a level of respect and professionalism. And that's what's missing. It's not that we don't want to hear everybody's opinions. I love different opinions. I want to see the same level of respect and professionalism that we will want our children. It's a simple threshold of our children adhering to those things. So I welcome anybody's opinion, but I just hope that with these meetings going forward, I mean, it's been just a hope of mine, and it's been violated with every meeting, except for the ethics meeting. But just hope that we can just convey these opinions without the intentional pettiness, without the lack of professionalism, or just with respect for one another. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Jones, I just wanted to make a couple more comments, if I may.
Mr. Aurora?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that with regards to the bucket comment, I believe those were my words, not your words. And what I meant by the bucket was just those people on the side. And, you know, and what you have to think about is, when you have more than 10, but you had the first 10 to come in, how do you then go back and you tell one citizen who immediately responded to the call of action, and you tell them, you turn around, you tell them, you now have to tell them no, because in your mind, you're thinking there's too many people from that ward, which is not a justifiable reason. So to tell a resident, oh, well, there's too many people from Ward 3, we can't go with you. Or your thought process is, oh, I'm not going to vote for that person because they're from Ward 3. We already have 6 from Ward 3. You know, again, it's not justifiable and it's not fair. It's not fair to those people that immediately responded to the call of action. And that's what needs to be considered. It's not so much this name came in or this name came in, or there's too many here, there's too many there, there's not enough here, there's not enough there. People had a chance to respond, which leads me to my second point. If I recall correctly, it was at a meeting in, I want to say November or early December, when Mr. Herring himself made the comment or the recommendation that the council needs to now take it over, because by the charter, according to the charter, the mayor had not fulfilled his obligation in getting the committee together. So that was back, again, I want to say that was probably November, late November, early December, I want to say. And again, it was at that meeting that it was decided that names would be submitted immediately. And I want to say it was within a 2-week time frame. So again, to submit names at the 19th hour, come on. Again, let's just do right. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, since my name was mentioned.
Councilman Herring.
Yes, I mentioned that in January, because January was a 6-month deadline for us to have to for the council to make appointments. So it was in January. It was not back in November. I didn't say anything in November. They said that the mayor's supposed to been doing something in November, and y'all kept on bringing up the election board in November and December, and the mayor was nowhere to be found to speak on it. Then in January, the January work session, he had just missed the deadline on January the 4th is when I mentioned that. So it wasn't back in November. And as for fairness is getting a broad spectrum of people across the floor. There was no call went out for volunteers for the election board. No official letters came from the city of Glenarden to the citizens in Glenarden to let them know that there was openings on the election board. Now, you may have, Mr. Montgomery, you may have put something out on your website, on your Facebook page, but nothing official came from the citizens. So people keep on saying it was a deadline. There was no deadline. Citizens didn't even know about it. Council members walked and knocked on doors and asked people who did they want to get involved. So to be fair, you should give these people who said they want to get involved a chance. Just because you were the first 10, because you put out a mess, you put out a call.
I did not.
You know,
no, you're mistaken. Excuse me. Point of order on you, Mr. Harry, because I did not post that.
Mr. Montgomery, out of respect and fairness,
that came from the mayor. No, that came
point
from
of
the
order.
mayor.
Point of order.
Point of order. Madam President, are you going to call for a point of order?
I'm calling for a point of order.
You know, now this is what bothers me, because he interrupted me. It should have been a point of order immediately to cease and desist from
Councilman
speaking.
Herring, please continue.
Ms. Jones, you don't tell me what to do and when to continue. I have the floor, and the charter says as a council member has the floor, I have the floor until I'm ready to finish my point. Now, I said, and people talk about fairness. Yeah, fairness is one thing, but also you got to follow the law. And people keep on saying, oh, you know, gotcha moments. No, the law says this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now, if y'all want to turn your blind eye to the law, that's the same thing Trump supporters like to do. Turn a blind eye to what the law is, because that person is in a position. But like I said, I brought it up in January the 4th at the work session, because that's when the 6 month time frame ended on January 3rd. So don't throw nothing back there that I did something back in November. I didn't do anything back in November. And as a matter of fact, like I said, no official notice came from any official in the city of Glenarden to all the citizens in this community that there were positions open on the election board. Thank you.
I'd like to.
Ms. Jones, I need
just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. Because if I'm not mistaken, the executive assistant has a flyer that she sent out and put on the website, Leah Johnson, concerning getting people for the election board. But I will check back with her to make sure that, if I'm not mistaken, she did put that on the website and on our social media avenues, asking for people, because Mayor Estes wanted her to put together a flyer. But I will double check. I'm sure that this is what she did. Excuse me, Mr. Herring. Point of order, Mr. Herring. Mr. Montgomery.
Yeah, I just wanted to reply or answer in response to. First of all, I did not put the call out for volunteers. That came from the mayor. It was the mayor himself that put that out. Okay. Secondly, if you were so concerned about the word getting out and asking for volunteers, maybe you should have included it in the letter that you sent out talking about me, because that went out to a number of citizens in Ward 1. So maybe if you would have put that in the letter instead of bashing me, maybe you would have gotten a whole lot more volunteers out of Ward 1. That's all I have to say. And on that note, good night.
Goodbye.
Please note, citizens, that was the response from your council members. Notice how he talks to the residents, to the citizens of Glenarden. Again,
Councilman Herring, Councilman Herring.
Mr. Herring, once again.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
the same person that sent out that letter. Thank you. Good night.
Goodbye.
Okay, it is.
Don't be mad at me, Mr. Herring. Don't be mad at me because I'm out and proud. Okay, maybe you should take note of that as well.
Point of order,
okay?
Council President.
Good night.
Point of order.
All right.
Point of order.
All right. We're going to bring this meeting to a close. It is now 8:19, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank each and every one of you for participating.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.